safe space. We ain't never give a reason you should hide. Compile all your questions, we're taking the quest. Join Tarsha on this journey to discover the rest. Go.
Welcome to the Adoption Journey podcast. I am your host, Tarsha Smith, and thank you so much for joining us on yet another adventure. And this is what this is like really about to be, family. I have not only a fellow adoptee, but she's also a transracial adoptee. Hey, Steffany. I'm well. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And you're very welcome. And girl, we're going to dive right in. So everybody knows my favorite first question is, how old were you when you found out you were adopted?
You looking around and like something's off, right? So you understand that something's off. You don't really know what it is. So I would say to, like, when I really fully understood what was going on, it was probably like 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you adopted right at birth, like an infant, I should say?
I was 4 months old.
Okay. So still a baby.
So I don't know anything, like I don't know much about Haiti, right? Because I came 4 months old, came to Canada right away.
Okay, stop right there. Stop right there. We have to clarify that. You are Haitian.
Yes, ma'am.
And the family that adopted you, what's their nationality?
My dad is Italian and my mom is French Canadian.
Okay. And then you said your brother was Korean.
Mm-hmm. I had 2 adopted brothers. Yeah.
Oh, 2 adopted brothers.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a 6-year-old little girl, there's a lot going on in this house. Do you start to ask questions, or do you just kind of internalize? I literally don't look like anybody.
I'm going to school, right? I'm the only Black person in my class. That's 30 kids, right? And they're like, why are you here? How did this happen? Because, they might have seen me, my dad drop me off at school, trying to make that connection.
Right.
So it's hard because not only am I having to deal with the fact that I'm Black and everybody else isn't, they're trying to understand why that happened. So I'm having to explain adoption. So at like 5 or 6 years old,
do you even understand adoption at 5 or 6 years old?
No, I don't. And it's hard because one of the biggest things that happens is like, well, what's adoption? And it's like, well, I was given up at birth and brought to Canada. And it's like, oh, so your real mom didn't want you?
Mm.
And trying to deal with that at 5 or 6 years old until the rest of school, it's just like these questions that I might not even have the answer to, but I have to make something up so that we can get back to my class and end this conversation,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a journey. It's a journey, girl.
Listen, I want to ask, do your parents, being that you're of a different nationality, do they at any point begin to introduce you to your Haitian roots?
They tried. My mom was really good at trying to explain to us where we were from. Okay. So I have one Korean brother and another brother who's from Haiti. So there's no relation, there's no biological relation there. But when I was 3 years old, we went to Haiti. And I don't remember, like 3 years old. So I'm just trying to understand what the whole purpose of going at 3 was, because I don't remember anything. I know that we wanted to visit the country. So it was like a trip that was organized with a lot of other transracial adoptees and their parents. Mm-hmm. So we went at 3 and trying to get a little bit of the culture. But back in Canada, I can't really say that we really understood the culture.
Right.
Still to this day, right? Like I'm still struggling and learning.
Okay. I have to ask this question. Mm-hmm. The hair. How
So
How does why are we laughing? Why does
this is such a good question. Yeah.
How does this white lady, I'm just going to call it what it is, this white lady deal with this black hair? And does she have anybody telling her how to deal with this black hair?
There was. So in this small, predominantly white environment, there was another black family. And my mom took lessons on how to do her hair.
Oh, well, good for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that for you.
It was so my hair, I thank God. You know what I mean? Like, yes. There's no way that this kid's coming in with like not done hair. So my hair was always done. My hair was so cute. Okay. But that also brings another thing of like everybody wanted to touch my hair because it's so
always
cute.
Do. And you don't. It's not a thing, people.
And it's like there's the kids who are like my age who are just so curious and have no filter. So there's that. But there's also the fact that there are teachers who are like, whoa, I've never seen this before. So they're in there too. And it's like, I'm going to tell a teacher not to touch my hair.
As a kid, I get it. But then mom should tell teachers not to touch your hair. Yeah.
And there was one event I remember. So I'm in kindergarten, so I'm 4. And my mom had just done my hair. She did cornrows, a little beads at the end.
Okay, cornrows.
Like super cute. Had cornrows, little bows, little beads at the end. And we all get up and they're like, we're doing a lice check. And so everybody got in their hair done, checking their whatever. And the one girl, she's like, I won't be able to look through that. And I was like in the line going like, shut me. Like, why was that?
You can definitely look through this because it's already parted for you. There's that.
Like, you gonna see the lice if it's there. You would see it. You would absolutely see it. You're seeing the scalp. It's right there. So I spent 3 hours with 4 teachers undoing my braids to check.
They made you take your hair down?
I had no choice.
And
I'm 4, okay? I'm 4. And I come home, my hair is a mess. Obviously, I don't have lice. My mom just did my hair. She would have told me if I had lice. You see what lice looks like?
Right.
So
what did your mom say?
Oh, man. She was not impressed. I remember just like, I come home, I have my beads in this little envelope. My hair is a mess. She's like, what happened? I said, they were looking for lice. And I spent recess, my lunch, just sitting there with 3 women undoing my braids to check for lice. She called the school and she's like, you will never touch my daughter's hair ever again. She's like, if you have questions, you can call me. And if you're going to do that, you are going to pay for a hairdresser. And there are none here. So you're going to have to go far to get her hair done if you touch my daughter's head.
Now, I don't know if you remember because you were 4, but maybe because that's kind of traumatizing.
As a 4-year-old, in there.
Take me back. You're 4, you're at school, and now I already know what your hair was looking like. It's just there because nobody's going to take the time to, let's pull it back in a quick ponytail. Like, it's just there. What does that do to you? And what does that do to you moving forward?
It's so weird because 4 years old and I still remember it like it was yesterday. We're all in line and she just looks at me and she's like, I won't be able to look through that hair. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I should call my mom because I don't think she's going to love this. And I grew up in quite a strict household. So I was scared. I was terrified to go home. I was terrified during that whole entire situation because I don't know how this is going to go. And I missed out on lunch. I missed out on recess. I'm here sitting in the office getting my hair touched by 3 or 4 different women when everybody else gets to play and have lunch. I remember bawling my eyes out, being like, is this happening? I'm the only Black kid in the school. Right? So there's just loads of emotions that come out when that happens where you're like, is this going to happen again? Am I never going to have to get my hair done? Because just in case I have lice, if there's a lice check, I'm going to have to do it. Like, I don't know what to do.
At 4.
4 years old.
Oh, man.
4.
Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. You're growing up in this home, you're asking these questions, and I want to know, how do you, quote unquote, survive in a house with all these nationalities? Or is it just not? Because you said that they tried to, explain to you where you all were from. Or is it just, normal day to day? And maybe not even, maybe they didn't even try to do this, but I'm really being immersed into your white culture.
Mm-hmm. I think what's really common with transracial adoptees and their families is we don't really want to talk about it.
Mm.
We don't really want to make that distinction that there is a huge difference and that we're seeing color. So, did we have conversations about it? Sure. If something had come up at school and I was picked on for being Black, then we'd have to kind of talk about it. But we just kind of swept it under the rug.
And that whole I don't see color thing, I don't know that people understand that that's not, because that means you don't see me. If you don't see color, then you don't see me. And that in itself is a problem. So I don't like to hear people say that.
It's tough. I think that was something that I didn't realize or understand the meaning of it until I was a little bit older, because it was something that was said to me all the time.
Now, walk me through, let's fast forward, walk me through teenager. Because I know by the time we hit middle school, kids are real mean in middle school. But on the flip side of that, not only are kids mean, we start to feel ourselves like, so now you have all of this, you're understanding what this adoption thing is, you're Black. Walk me through middle school.
Middle school was tough. I think school in general was really tough for me because I was a people person. I love people. It was really funny. I was funny from a very young age because that was my coping mechanism. Or it was like, if you're going to say something sexy, I'm a sexy guy. Make it like it's a joke. And everybody's like, oh, that's so funny. Steph's so funny. So I really turned into comedy. And I also started singing. That's where I started to perform. I was on stage. I was, doing most of the concerts at school. So I started really getting into performing. And my thought about this was, you're going to stare anyways. People are going to stare no matter what. So I'm going to give you something to stare at. I'm going to start to sing. And then you can stare at me on stage.
I love it. Are you still singing to this day?
I got injured a few years ago, so I don't sing anymore, but I sang for 20 plus years. I went to school for it. I teach it. I'm a voice coach. I'm a life coach. Okay. So I still teach people how to sing. So music is still a huge part of my life, still to this day. But that was the one thing that everybody knows me for. Like, if you go back to my hometown, Steffany Venneri, the singer. She's the singer. She's the one who's doing this. She's the one who's doing this. The Black singer. This is her. So that's what I'm known. Oh yeah, that's what I'm known for. Right? Like, it was really tough to be different from everyone else and not know what to do about it. Because I was also I was a chubby kid. I was an overweight little fat girl. So I was like the fat Black girl. So I was like chunky. And I remember I was talking to my husband about this recently, where at recess or at lunch, people go outside, they play. I never did. I got really involved in doing work. So during lunch, I was the receptionist at the school. While the teachers were having lunch upstairs, I was the one answering phones. I was the one signing for the mail. So I'm like 12, 13 in their office. I always found ways to be useful instead of going outside and playing with my friends.
Now, did that have something to do with not wanting to hang out with the kids? Okay.
That started when I was really young. I was going through when I was like 10, 9, where I was like, I'm going to go to the library and talk to the librarian. And her and I at lunchtime and at recess, we would she'd get new books, and I would put I would wrap the books in their plastic wrap, and we would do that, and that's where I spent my lunch.
Now, let me ask you about your brothers.
Mm-hmm.
How are they dealing with this, if you could speak on their behalf?
They're not doing well. The oldest one, Jason, who is Korean, I think that there was racism, but maybe not as much as Black kids.
Okay.
So he struggled. I mean, did he have some friends who might have said some racist comments? Yeah, but he's really tough guy. Let it roll off my back. So he went through life doing his thing. But David, the middle child, who's also from Haiti, struggled a lot. Struggled big time. And it's hard because he's no longer here. He passed away last year of an accidental drug overdose in November of 2022. And it's hard because when he's gone, you get all these flashbacks and all these memories of what went wrong, what happened. And being Black in a predominantly white environment happened because he was continuously teased. He was continuously looked at. He wanted to dance, so we joined a dance class, dance group, and then people were like, men don't dance. You shouldn't dance. So you yanked out.
Now, do you think your parents knew how much your brothers were struggling? Or do you think they missed it?
They missed it. They missed it 100%.
Okay.
Because things would have been different if it wasn't missed. I think that for us, it was, well, this happened because for sure I'm Black. This is what happened. Don't use that as an excuse. That's not what happened. That's not the reason why you were treated this way. It has nothing to do about race. You need to get over it. And that was said to me and my brother.
And do you think that your brother, just based off of what you just said, let me back up a little bit, it would seem like he might have been picked on a lot more than you, or was it equal? Or did you just handle it differently?
I think we handled it differently. He was angry. So it was, for me, I took everything so personal. And as you know, I'm a woman, so I was more emotional than he was, but he showed it in such different ways. I think that we both were picked on equally. I think it was quite, you know what, I say that, I'm gonna take it back. I think when we were kids, maybe it was equally, but when he became a teenager, I think he got it worse. I think a Black teenager who is embracing his Blackness and wearing baggy pants and wearing bandanas and listening to rap music, I think that was such a different vibe for people that they didn't know how to take it. And I think he got it worse.
And he was getting picked on for just wanting to be himself.
Just being himself. Just wanting to dance, just wanting to do all these things. He just wasn't able to really embrace who he was.
Yeah.
And when I started singing, I knew he rapped. So I was like, I'm going to bring him on stage.
Yeah.
So there's loads of times where him and we had a performance and he would come and be my special guest and we would sing and rap and have this wonderful time on stage. And that's what I remember. Those are the moments where he lit up. He lit up when we were able to dance, and he lit up when we were able to sing and rap on stage.
So I want to ask, were you aware when the drug started? He
was 15, so I would have been 13. And through all of this, when I was 2, my parents divorced. So, it's wild to me, right? We adopt 3 kids, and then a year, 2 years later, it's gone. So my parents, it was a very messy divorce, didn't really associate with each other. So it was a back and forth going home to home.
Okay, hold on. Stop right there.
That's a journey,
that's a dynamic girl. That wait, I did that in itself, even with kids that are not adopted and not going through, and then throw that in there. So they adopt all of these children that are not from their country. And then they divorce, and then it's a messy divorce. How? take me back. Like, how do you, because you're dealing with your own stuff, being Black, being the only Black kid, being, and being adopted. And then you got that? Girl, how?
And there were loads of times where you're kind of having to pick a side.
Oof.
So when my brothers were 14, so the oldest one 14, him and my mom clashed hard.
Teenagers.
So he moved to my dad's. He moved to my dad's, stopped talking to my mom for like 15 years. Like, this is a serious situation.
Oh.
And
like
then
no contact for real.
For real. Same town, no contact. None. So he was at my dad's. And then when David, the middle child, was 14, same thing, moved to my dad's.
What was that? What is going on with mom and these boys? What was that?
She's strict.
But being strict and then to the point where I'm about to just not be here in this house and I'm going to go live someplace else, that's on a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm. I don't have any contact with her now as well. So it's really...
Okay.
I think that she was just really into her own world. She really loved what she was up to. And
say that again. She really loved what she... That's a mouthful.
And I knew that early on. I knew that really early on because when they divorced, my mom was in a relationship for 8 years and he didn't like me. He hated me.
So now not only are you dealing with divorce, now you're dealing with boyfriends that don't like it. Was it because you were Black?
So that's what she said to me when it ended. She said, yeah, he had a really hard time with you because I think he was a racist.
And you stayed with him for 8 years, girl?
Okay.
Make it make sense. Because you're her daughter.
Mm-hmm. And so for me, I think for me, I have two questions. I have two situations where you knew he was a racist the whole entire time and didn't advocate for your kids.
Right.
Number one. Number two, he's not a racist, but you don't want to take the blame. So you rather put it on him that he was a racist.
It's both. It's 1 and 2.
I think it's option 1 and 2. Yeah,
it's option 1 and 2.
Yeah, for sure.
If somebody asked me my opinion, nobody did. But if somebody did,
girl, I asked your opinion.
That would be my answer to that question. Because by the time she's dating this guy, is she already having a hard time with your brothers as well?
They left while she was dating this guy. They both left.
Yeah, she's really into herself. Mm-hmm.
She into her own stuff.
Yeah, she's really into her own stuff.
One of the things that happened when David died, I'm very open about the situation.
Hold on. We're going to get to... Hold on.
Because it's just because being in her own stuff, she just made a comment that I went,
yeah,
hold. Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna put a pin in that for just a second.
Love it, right here,
right there. Because trust me, we're going there. But I want to ask this question now that I understand just a little bit more. Did your brothers also leave not only because I'm clashing with mom, but then this relationship? And if they left because of both, she totally chose what to deal with and what not to deal with.
100%. It's both. It's both of those.
It's both. So as the daughter that stayed, because you stayed at that time, right?
I stayed.
How? Why did you not go too?
I was guilt tripped into it. She was really good at being like, you can't leave. I'll have no kids left. And you and I have this special bond
Do
because
we?
you're my girl, and you know the boys are going with your dad, so that's a special bond there. So we can't lose this special bond. I should have left. I think I'll leave it at that. I should have left.
Now, did you have the better relationship with your dad, or was it not that great either?
I had a great relationship with my dad.
Okay.
When I was younger, I would go back and forth, so 1 week here, 1 week there. So when I was there for a week, it was different because there was a lot more time spent because he didn't see me as often as the boys.
Right. Oh.
I always wanted to stay a little bit longer at my dad's, but it was hard to have that conversation with a strict mom. So I just let it be.
Okay. I'm going to turn the corner now. Walk me through what happened with your brother.
I'm very open about his adoption and his death and how it happened and what went right, what went wrong. And when he passed away, I posted and I just said, adoption is tricky. It's got so many layers that not everybody's going to be able to understand, but we need to do better. And I was just talking about just the general, because I also work with the transracial adoptees and they're dealing with a lot of the same things that we dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted that and I showed her and she was like confused. She was like, did it really bug him that he was adopted? And my husband looked at me. He was like, and I just said, well, if you have to ask when he's already dead, we're too late on questions here. But for the fact that question was asked 33 years later when he's dead, it's wild. There's a lot of things you can't unsee when I look at his journey, right? So for me, I'm adopted, but I have a little bit of information of my biological family, where for him, he was told at a very young age, he was found in a dumpster, no real birthday, no information, brought to the orphanage. He was maybe like 5.
Wait, stop. They thought it was okay to share that type of information with a 5-year-old?
Yeah.
It's okay to say, hey, you're adopted, but those details, that's not kid conversation.
It's not necessary. How much information is too much information for an adoptee of that age? I think I have questions.
Yeah. And that's too much information, because now I can't unhear what you said. Now that I know, I can't unknow.
100%. And that was brought up multiple times in his life, in his journey, especially where he didn't have a real birthday. That drove him mad. Because how do you, it's just crazy to me just thinking about conversations that I had with him where people are like, my horoscope, I live vicariously through that. I love it. I know it. That's my thing. Where he doesn't have it. And his whole journey was trying to figure out his sign, trying to figure out his real birthday. He asked me once, he's like, is there a blood test that I can take to find my birthday? So don't come and tell me that this wasn't visible for everyone to understand that he was struggling.
Right.
Right. For me, knowing at 15 that he had turned to abuse, to drugs, made perfect sense.
Now, at 15, when he's starting to use, at this point, he's living with your dad. Mm-hmm. Is dad aware?
Ish. Dad's working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Okay, dad's not aware. Okay.
So it's a little bit hard, right? And then he had a learning disability that no one really did anything with. So he hated school. So he got to school, was on the basketball team, loved it, was so good. But you got to keep a 75% average.
Right.
So he's out. Never graduated high school. Finished when he was 16. Done.
Going back to your mom for a second, because you said something earlier, and I heard you when you said it, but it just now it's hitting the ear differently. You said that at 3, there was like a group that went back to Haiti. Mm-hmm. And just knowing your mom is just in love with her stuff, it seems like this was one of those things. Mm-hmm. Let me go and do this. And then, okay, now I'm divorced. Now I'm, at some point I'm not paying attention. Is there, and I'm not asking you, this is rhetorical. Mm-hmm. At what point are we going to start educating these adoptive parents about what this is and about what this potentially could be? Because that baby is not going to stay a baby. And that baby is going to have questions. That baby might want to go look for their biological family. There's a whole thing. And I just feel like your mother was very misinformed. She was just like, I'm going to go and do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, when we went to Haiti, I was 3. David would have been 5.
And is that when they told him, when you were in Haiti?
I don't know if it was in Haiti, but it was around that time. It probably was, but it was around that time, and it could have come up because when we went to Haiti, we went to visit my biological mom. So it might have come up when he was there too. Like maybe he was wondering where his family was, if he can go visit his. Like that's kind of blurry to me. But what I do remember is by that time when we were in Haiti, we came back to Canada. My dad was gone. That was like where he had like left the house.
Girl.
So I don't know if it was like, let's kind of go to Haiti so that we can kind of deal with what's going on in Canada. I'm not sure.
Right.
But it's around that time.
Yeah. And did they ever take you back to Haiti?
No. We talked about it. I think when it comes to culture and understanding the roots and stuff like that, that was more my mom wanting to take us than my dad. My dad is good at, let's not talk about that tough stuff.
He's a guy.
Right? Like a man's not going to be in tune with his emotions and want to talk about, all of those struggles that you have. And unfortunately, that's what my brother needed. That's what he needed, is to be able to talk about the tough stuff, to figure out his place in the world.
So,
it's a journey, girl. It's wild. It's wild, being so young and having to deal with what we dealt with. You just can't unsee that.
No. And as the years go on, at least as his sister and even your other sibling, are you all aware that the drug use is getting really bad? Or are you talking to him? Like, what's happening leading up to the unfortunate?
We knew. We understood what was going on, maybe not to the extent of how it was, but we knew what was going on. At that point, we're not in the same high school. I'm in a different high school that's closer to my mom's house. He was at a different high school, but he wasn't going. And my dad would go to work, right? So it was just like there was nothing really to be said and done. He was just going about doing his thing. Mm-hmm. So then it developed and it got tougher and it got tougher, and then it got more serious, and then developed bipolar, schizophrenia, that went into just really, really scary behaviors and scary situations.
And this is, and I'm talking to the family now, and this is what we mean by suicide and drug use amongst adoptees. That percentage is high. And these are some of the reasons. Why? Because of how things are dealt with, how things are done or not done. And then what that individual as the adoptee is feeling. It's a lot. So for my family out there that's considering adopting, think about this. Listen to this story. We're not trying to scare you, but this is a part of it.
I think that's such a good point as well, because last year I asked my mom why she adopted. I asked her why.
What did she say?
Are you ready?
I'm probably not.
Okay. So I said to her, we're having dinner. And I just said, you know what, why did you choose Haiti? What made you decide to choose Haiti? Because the first child's from Korea, right? So I was just like, what made you go there? Taking a big breath because you know what's coming. And I said, yeah, so why Haiti? And she said, well, you know what? I didn't care what color my baby was. I just know that I needed a baby and Korea was expensive. So we went somewhere cheaper.
Time out. Did she say she needed
$6,000? Let's sit in that for a quick sec. $6,000. The total price for a child. Because you needed
She told you that?
Well, I was having chicken last year. And for me, it's like she didn't see anything wrong with that story.
Can you repeat that one more time? Say it again. Because I'm positive I didn't hear you right. Say it again.
We're gonna say it again. I said, why Haiti? I needed a baby. I didn't care what color it was. Korea was expensive. I wanted to go somewhere cheaper. We went to Haiti. You were $6,000.
So that is what you said. Okay.
That's what I said. You know when people are like, what's your worth? What you know your worth? I don't know worth. What do you do with that?
I'm speechless. And for the family that's listening to this with an audio instead of visually, just understand the pauses are because I don't have. She took all my words.
The pauses are on purpose.
The pauses are on purpose right now. 100%. Because I was going to ask, why did you adopt? Let alone, why did you bounce from country to country? Why did you even adopt? What was that about?
She couldn't have kids biologically. She had been trying, her and my dad had been trying for years, didn't work. So they decided next best thing was adopt.
And then they decided the next best thing was a divorce. Sorry.
Yeah. No, hey, listen, what you're feeling is what I'm feeling. Is what I felt, and having to dissect my brother's death and my brother's life. These are the things you can't unsee. These are the things that have been told to us that you can't unknow. You just can't. So even as an adult, right? I'm in my 30s and I'm finding out I'm $6,000 at birth or 4 months old when I was adopted. What do you do with that?
And she said it. And she just said it. Just said it like those pair of jeans was $28 in Haiti.
$28.99 on sale.
They were $50 in Canada, so I'm going to Haiti. She said it just like.
Was there a return label? Was there did you have to pay for shipping? You know, and
gosh.
And we're having, so it was her now husband.
In that moment, do you just get up and leave? Like, is dinner done? Dinner's done. Dinner's for sure done.
Dinner wasn't done because I was stunned. So my husband was beside me, and we have this thing where it's like in the moment where we can't really use words, he'll squeeze my leg. He'll do a little book it, because we're going to talk about that when we're gone. And so he's squeezing so hard because it was like this, I can't believe this is happening. And no one said anything. My stepdad was just eating his chicken, head in the plate, like nothing to say. I'm like, well, I guess I'm worth more than that now. And she laughed. And we all giggled. We all went.
So when do you go no contact? Because I know you're no contact at this point.
Last year. Last November, I went no contact with her.
And besides that comment, what was it? There
was a buildup of so many things. I was trying to grieve. I was trying to grieve in peace and trying to understand my life, trying to understand David's life, trying to understand our childhood. My oldest brother now has a daughter, and my mother felt entitled to her time. My mother felt entitled to my time. My mother felt entitled to loads of things. And when she messaged me and I said, listen, I'm going through so many things. And I had an injury, a dental injury that just changed my life, changed the course of my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm in pain almost every day. I have chronic invisible illness. So I'm in pain most of the time. So I have a certain amount of talking time. I have a certain amount of looking at screens. So I have to really figure out my journey. And I said to her, can we just speak in the new year? Like, I need some time. And she was like, nope.
That didn't work for her.
That didn't work for her. Don't put her on a time schedule. Don't put her in the back burner for next year. She needed to know what was going on and how I was doing and wanted to talk to me. And that was the struck for me. You're not going to demand my time. You're not going to force yourself into my life when I'm grieving. I lost my brother. I'm trying to stay alive with my injury. I'm trying to grieve in peace. And I'm not even allowed to do that? How am I not allowed to do that without you involved? So I sent her an email, letting it all out, saying, you will give me my space. You will full on give me my space because now you're removed off of everything and there's no contact. So you will get this email. And I know she's going to want to defend herself and rebuttal and call and discuss. And I'm not giving her the opportunity to do that.
You're on the blacklist, ma'am.
You're on the blacklist. And she's really good at, she's aggressive when it comes to like demanding answers. So my brother, before he passed away, he was in Toronto. He was like 7 hours away from home. And he came home maybe a month before. And when she was in the hospital finding out that he had a drug overdose, she's harassing all of my family members. Did you know he was in town? Did you know he was in town?
Sorry. Back up. He's in the hospital. And she's trying to figure out who all knew he was in town. There's so many pauses.
I'm going to take a sip. This
Go
is
ahead,
a sip.
take a sip.
Yeah,
I don't have anything to take a sip. This is wild. Yeah. So take me back to your older brother now has a daughter. Mm-hmm. Has he decided to go no contact yet? Or is he still dealing?
Yeah. So as I said, he was 14, stopped talking to my mom, moved with my dad. 13, 14 years, no contact. Then in his 20s, he started, I think she was pushing to try to get some contact again. And he finally did. Did he want to? I don't know. And then they started, chatting a little bit more. And then they had a daughter, and my mom was nowhere to be found. My mom was really an outdoorsy person, loves nature, loves the cottage, loves fishing. Mm-hmm. So when the baby was born, my mom headed out to the cottage. She was like, I gotta go fishing. I gotta do my stuff. I got things, I got plans. Nature's calling me. We gotta do this. So leaving my brother to not have any really family around, and it really left a bad taste in his mouth. And since then, he was like, I can't do contact. So he stopped talking to her. This is opportunity 2. And it's gone. It's gone.
So.
And you're running around asking people if they knew that David was in town, why no one told you. But like, did you ever ask yourself why you weren't told?
Right.
Right? That's not the question that comes to mind.
No.
It's everyone else's issue and everyone else's problem that she was left in the dark.
Because it's all about me.
She's into her own stuff.
She's into her own stuff.
And when you have a parent who's into their own stuff, you get left behind. All three of us dead. There's no way around that. There's no way to, right? And it's like, it's hard to talk about this because I think a lot of adoptees, when they go no contact with their adoptive family, there's so much guilt. There's so much guilt. And I think it was because we just didn't know how to deal with the fact that we had been saved. For $6,000, I was saved. And I need to be grateful and thankful for that. But I don't think I do.
You don't.
So if there's anyone out there who is an adoptee, who is tossing and turning with the becoming in, no contact with your family, it's okay. They don't owe you anything. You don't owe them anything. Let's stay there. You don't owe them anything. Whether you heard that you are saved and you should be grateful, that is not working for me. That's just not.
Girl.
I tossed and turned with that whole entire thing. Of like, oh my God, I can't just...
I know you did. And now, how is Steffany doing?
Steffany is good. Steffany is peace.
Mm.
And that's probably the only word that I can describe is I'm at peace. I am okay with where my relationships are.
Okay.
I'm okay with everyone, right? I live about 3 provinces away from my family, and that is perfection. Right? It's perfection. It's great. I'm living my life. I'm happily married with this man who adores me, loves me unconditionally. A feeling that I don't know if I've ever felt before. Because an adoptee, when you talk about love, when you talk about unconditional love, that's hard to maybe understand. Because when you hear what unconditional love is, you go, well, it's a child and parent relationship.
Mm.
Adoptees are maybe not feeling the same way. And it's okay to question that. It's okay to go, I might not have an understanding of what love is specifically. So 6 years ago when I met my man, it was like this is unconditional love. I feel love for who I am. I don't feel like I have to change who I am. Right? I was overweight and that was a huge, huge thing for me is everybody wanted me to be skinny. Everybody wanted me to stop eating and be better.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always having to be better for someone else. And now in my 30s, it's not like that. I've never met an adoptee who hasn't been a people pleaser. Let's be honest here.
And girl, wait till you get to your 40s. There's a switch that comes on.
Ooh, what's that switch? Tell
girl,
me.
I don't know what that switch is, but you're going to enjoy that switch. Because you think you don't care now, honey. And for what I understand, when you hit 50, the switch goes from level 2 to like 8.
Yes. I love that.
But that switch turns on. Yeah. So, yeah. And I don't even have to ask my last question because you did what I would have asked you to do, which is speak to the adoptees that are thinking about going no contact. You did it. You went there without me even. See how we just
flows. Girl,
flowing.
You see
right
me.
there.
You got it.
You said it already.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you for coming on the show and telling the hard story. I know that's not easy to talk about.
It's not easy, but it's necessary. And I think in the last few years, what has really pushed me to do this is to tell my brother's story. Because I think that a lot of people know him as someone who was addicted to drugs when he was really young, didn't graduate high school, and struggled. No. That's not him. That's not the story. That's not the journey.
You know what? Before we do that, tell me about David. Let's speak his name in a positive light. that's how we'll end. Go there.
David was such a kind and gentle soul that loved performing. And on my Instagram, I have a video that I shared for his 1 year death anniversary. It's us on stage, us singing Where's the Love? And we have a band, and it's just us, and he's rapping, and I'm singing, and we have this eye contact where we start this little dance battle. We are just so in sync when it comes to arts and performing. That's who I remember. I remember him having this infectious laugh and the biggest smile and loved to make everyone laugh. Him with older ladies, he was such a flirt. He would flirt with little grannies, and they'd be like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. But he was just so easygoing and so sweet. And through all of the journey that we've had, that's what's coming out. That's what I remember. That's what I want to remember. I have loads of memories, loads of pictures, and loads of videos of us performing. And I get to hear his voice again. So I don't miss that because it's always here. I'm listening to it almost every day. That's what I remember David like. And that's what I wish everyone remembered David like.
And now, as you continue to tell his story, they will.
I have to.
You have to.
It's the story just wasn't complete with what my family's perspective was.
Right. And now you own the narrative.
I do.
Period.
100%. Everyone was really sad. Obviously, you're sad and you're grieving when he passed away, but I was at peace. I saw a man for 33 years trying to find himself, trying to discover himself. And now that's gone. I think he has all the answers, and I think that he's at peace, and that makes me at peace. And that's what I remember of him.
Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story, sharing David's story.
Thank you for having me and providing the safe space, girl. I love what you're doing.
Thank
Happy
you.
to be a part of it because I wish he knew how many adoptees are speaking and meeting and discussing so many things.
We're out here.
Like, we're out here. We are out here, and there's so many of us. I'm running a retreat in Portugal in May for Black women adoptees.
Oh, you're going to have to give me the information so I can post about it.
Yeah. It's with a friend of mine who is Black Adoptees Identity. She did a podcast, and that's how we met. I did a podcast last year, and we discussed it. Both of us are coaches, and we're like, let's do this. Let's have this moment of a safe space for these Black adoptee women who might not have ever been in a room with other Black adoptee women. Let's have them and just let them be them and tell their stories and feel at peace.
And just feel at peace. Period. I love everything about that. And I'm going to talk to you in just a second offline. But thank you so much, family, for joining us on another journey. And until next week, bye, family.
Journey on. You need a pie with the good? Oh yeah, what is the one? Adoption.